Welcome, everyone, to episode 57 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, do we want to go on a bike ride again?
Or would we rather slam into a rock?
That's right. This episode, we're going to be talking about Lonely Mountains, Downhill, by Megagon Industries. I hope I said that right. This game came out back in October of 2019. I played this on the PC. And Tom, yet again, we have a very, very large discrepancy. This game was only 766.9 megabytes on the PC. Tom, how big was it on the Xbox?
1.2 gigabytes.
Jeez Louise. That
We're
is
using
insane.
different words.
Yes. Different words, different sizes, different everything. It's sad world here at the Xbox. Because you know what? The hard drive space is precious on the Xbox. So
I guess, the dramatic swings, it's because it's so small that the swing is so great.
Yeah, I guess so. But Tom, what kind of game is this?
I have isometric downhill mountain biking.
Yeah, that's a good description. I just put downhill biking game, but yeah, you covered the viewpoints and everything as well. So I'll give you that.
I wanted to write down third person originally.
Yeah,
and then I was like, but you might think that you're like over the shoulder or something like that. But that's not how you're playing this game.
Right. But is there a game loop in this game?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much have the same thing here. I have navigate a bike course and avoid crashing into obstacles.
Yeah. I wrote ride your bike down a hill while you have a task list of things to do.
True, but only on the second time you go down the same hill.
I mean, technically, the first time it does say you have to complete the course. You have to get to the end of the course. That's your task list. It's one task, but it's one task list.
One item does not a list make.
Just say it. Oh, my gosh. But yeah, those are our loops here. Shall we?
Chris, why don't you kick us off with some goodies, some things you liked?
Sure. First of all, this was a very easy game to pick up and play. There was no fluff. It was very right. You start the game, and it's like, here you go. Start the game. Here's the course, and fire away, and then you're literally on the course. It was very fast to load on the PC. I'm not sure how it was on the Xbox, but
also very fast.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, very easy to pick up, play game. It was kind of good looking too, in its quirkiness, right? Like the art style kind of reminded me of almost like a Minecraft, but almost like a there was these other racing games that I played before, Absolute Drift and The Art of Rally, kind of like a boxy but like nicely shaded environments. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I liked about this game. What about you?
I agree that the controls were nice and simple, easy to pick up and play. Also, what I liked in terms of ease of play, it had a good layout of the options and things, and it did it like as you started up the game. It's like, how do you want to control the bike? How do you want to do this? And it like kind of stepped you through it. And it was all very clear, and it like all made sense to me as it walked through it. But again, did not bog down the startup of the game. It was all very like, this is important. You need to make these selections, but you were in the game very fast, which I liked. I also agree that the graphics are stylized, which is, we talk about a lot, is good for longevity of this title. So
absolutely,
this game's a couple of years old already. Could have been built yesterday. Like it's not obvious that it doesn't look dated, and I don't think it will look dated probably ever. For sure.
I think you and I both touched on this. Also, the controls did feel good. I really liked sliding. Like sliding felt really good in this game. like coming down a hill, and like you got that sense of speed, but at the same time you were like, for the most part you felt like, okay, I can take this corner pretty hard, and like, the bike did its job. Like it felt like riding a bike. I don't know how they did it, but like it really did feel like riding a bike, and that was cool. Like there was
Yeah.
the kind of the weighty, like the way that the weight shifted in the on your bike and stuff like that. It felt like it was good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. There was a time where I went over like a wooden bridge, and the sound did that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's just like if you were riding over a real, bridge with a real bike, you would totally hear that.
Yep. They did a great job of sound and a great job, with the overall feel of the game. Anything else we need to bring up about the likes?
I did like that I could, what I call cheat. It's not cheat. I mean, this is the game. The game was designed this way, but it feels like cheating, where you don't take the really well laid out, obvious road and take some like side path, and then you go off road and you can really cut corners and shave seconds off your time. And so like when that works, it feels real good because you feel real clever and you're like, ha, I cut my time down substantially.
Absolutely. Yeah. I, when I read that, it totally like made me remember my playthrough. I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, that made sense. Like, cause there was so many times where you saw like a not as worn down path. And I was like, I wonder if I just take this route and what happens. Like, so there's a kind of experimentation that you get to do in this game too, which is neat, especially since it's such a, it's a pretty lightweight game overall, right? So that was cool. But now let's talk about some stuff we didn't like about this game. Tom, why don't you start off?
Boy. I really hated just like gently grazing a tree and then needing to restart. There were times where the collision. So as good as the bike felt, as good as sometimes these slidings and stuff felt real good most of the time. But when it didn't, oh boy, was it aggravating. Like the collision detection sometimes just felt wrong to me.
Right.
And kind of arbitrary. Like I was like, really? Like I didn't hit it that hard. Like listen, when you get like launched off of something and slam into a rock, you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, I deserve that. Like,
I'm dead at that point.
Yeah. Like all of his bones are broken. Like he's not riding anymore.
Right.
But like brushing up against a pine tree shouldn't like end your run.
Yeah, I agree. Like there was a lot of times where I was taking a turn out, and I did this more with the rocks than I did with the trees, but like I would just kind of tap it, and the guy would like fly across the map. I'm like, oh god, okay, that didn't feel right, but and so playthroughs of particular checkpoints and stuff like that were sometimes aggravating for sure. I will say this game, like as simple as it seems, as good as it feels, sometimes this game was pretty hard. And I will say the reason why I feel that way is because of the way that the camera was set up. Because obviously we played a similar game, The Descenders,
right?
And The Descenders gave you the options, right? You had third person view, but when you were in third person view or in first person, you saw what was in front of you, right? And in this, the way that the camera is set up in this game, you don't see so much what's in front of you. You kind of just see what's literally like in your peripheral of that scene that you're in. And a lot of times I felt like I was making that turn, coming around a bend, and then there was a jump that I had to take. And it's like, oh, I forgot to do my sprint. Like, when am I going to, because there's that sprinting option to, get the speed to get across large gaps. So that was a bit frustrating. And, and I guess the whole point of it, and we talked about this in the likes, is like the experimentation of that. But I felt like that's kind of cheap though. Like the fact that you can't have a clean run, like that first run is just you making your mistakes. You can't have a clean run on your first mistake on your first run of the course. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cheap, and these challenges were definitely tough. Like I couldn't get past like the time trial stuff. Like, oh man, I don't think I made it across the finish line on any of the times. What about you, Tom?
Yeah. So piggybacking off of that, one of my bullet points that I have here is missing a challenge by less than a second.
Oh no.
So like on that first course, it's like finish your run in under 3 minutes.
Right.
And I had 3 minutes and half a second.
Oof.
And I was like, are you serious? And there's no way to replay just your last checkpoint and maybe do it a little bit faster. There's no way to like grab a section of your run and go like, okay, I ran that pretty shitty. I'm going to do it over and really clean that up. No, you have to do it the whole thing over again. So if you like mastered, 6/7 of it and really struggled with that 7th one, like, too bad, so sad, especially if it's somewhere in the middle.
And that's right. Actually, there are, at least from the courses or the trails that I've run so far, there was 7 checkpoints. At least that's what I've noticed so far. I don't know if they increase the number of checkpoints as the mountains get larger or whatever, but that's what I've seen so far. So yeah, you had to get past all 7 checkpoints and then to your point, that would have been a great idea to be able to be like restart this last checkpoint or restart a particular section of the run. That would be cool. I don't know why they didn't do that, but this is a Kickstarter backed game, by the way.
Oh,
I don't know if you noticed. Actually, it was in the intro. It's like backed by Kickstarter or whatever.
I missed it. So, somehow I missed that. Sorry.
That's fine.
But yeah, I needing to replay that same trail multiple times got on my nerves a lot.
Yeah.
And it did bug me that the first run didn't count. Like that like completing it is like that should have just been with the other challenges. Like give me 3. One of them is I complete it. The next one is I completed in a certain amount of time, and the third one is you do a clean, do it clean. Right. And it's like, well, I probably am not going to hit number 2 and number 3 on my first attempt. Realistically, it's probably not going to happen. But like that, I have to do it once before I even get the opportunity to do it again. Like to go for those, it bugs me.
I think like I don't know if the game designers or whatever tried to like artificially make this game feel longer.
Yeah,
or
that's what
give
it feels
you
like.
more value. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you get to play this game for 6 hours instead of 3 or whatever it is. I know the game is called Lonely Mountains Downhill, but like I wish there was a little bit of music or something, because you really did feel isolated and just like, the sounds of nature were nice and stuff like that, but without that, like, because the Descenders had a great soundtrack, right? It was a cool, like there was some, I would say like what do you call it, like some like, oh god, why am I not remembering what the genre of music was, but it was like like dance music or whatever junk, right? And this game had nothing, so I felt like some of my runs felt kind of boring because of that. I don't know if you felt that, but
I generally like this game, and we've played other games like this. It's a game of trial and error.
Yeah.
And it's a game about failing a lot until you don't fail. It's like you fail, you succeed. And so like when you succeed, it's like, hey, I did it. But it also, for me, doesn't take away the fact that I did it. I had to fail like 11 or 12 times before I succeeded. Like, it's a game that I spend most of the time being frustrated and then have like brief moments of being very excited and liking it a lot. But I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we get to some, like, any notables or something like that?
I set my units to Imperial immediately.
I did too.
Even though the whole world should use the metric system. That's Tom's hot take.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong there, because that would have made more sense. As it's like, what, 3, 4 countries that use?
Yeah, but they're big ones.
Yeah. America. Anyway, the other thing I will say about this, there is Xbox Cloud Saves, Play Anywhere capable game. So you can play this on your PC, your Xbox, and on Xbox Mobile, Game Pass Mobile. So all your saves and stuff like that will pass on through, which is super important with this game because of all the trial and errors and all that stuff that, to be able to lose that going into any other version of this game would be really aggravating. And according to How Long to Beat, this game takes about 6 hours to beat the whole, like the main storyline, like the main playthrough. It takes about 6 hours, which is pretty hefty for what I thought was a pretty light game. But
well, there are, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 mountains, and then each of the mountains I think has a couple of trails, and each of the trails has a certain number of difficulties. So it's like, I guess if you do that multiplication out, you end up with 6 hours of game.
True. So here's our final decision. Are we keeping this game?
It's small in the grander scheme of things, though it's maybe a little unnecessarily big on the Xbox. There are questions there. And I think that it's pretty fun once you get the hang of it. But I'm ready to move on personally.
I agree with you. This game was fun for what it was. Like for the hour I enjoyed it. I definitely feel like this could be a game that you would kind of like break out when you're like waiting for something, like at a doctor's appointment or whatever, waiting for someone to come down and hang out, whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, but like a great time killer. But even though it is small, it's probably not going to be on my hard drive for very long. So probably going to trash this game. I'm sorry, but it was fun. It was fun while I played it, but I probably already forgot about it at this point.
You make a good point with that. It's a good time waster.
Yeah.
But the courses are kind of too long for that, right? Like that you have
which is why
7 checkpoints. Like if you had a way to save or like just play a segment or like and just pick it up and play it for a couple of minutes, like you're right.
Which is why I say like it would be you play this game at a place that you would typically have a long wait time, like a doctor's appointment, at a mechanic, whatever it is, right? That kind of place.
You knew you had to wait for 20 or 30 minutes. This is a good thing to pop open and play.
Yeah. So if you ever are at one of those situations and you need to waste some time, this is a great game to do. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. If you played it, let us know. And follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. You can always check out our streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D. And if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, send us a comment down below. We promise to read and even respond. And as always, what's that, Tom?
There is one other place that they can find us.
That's right. They can check us out on the Quit the Build website, quitthebuild.com/1H1D. Since U1H1D is part of the QTB network, and if you like gaming podcasts, be sure to check out Quit the Build, a weekly gaming news podcast, or see the whole lineup. Check us out, quitthebuild.com/network. Yes, I did it. I think I got everything.
I think you did.
Yes. All right. Nice. So we're not hitting the surprise me button this time.
I know they don't know that. This is you just surprised our listeners.
Well, surprise. We are not doing the surprise me button for our next episode because we've actually got a request from one of our listeners, Stu from the Midweek Mix-Up crew. He gave us a game that both Tom and I have not played before, and that game is Firewatch.
I have never heard of it.
I've heard of it. I've just never played it. And I've heard good things about it, but we'll see how good it is for an hour.
Yeah. How much fire can we watch for an hour?
It's true. But that's our next episode. So
you ready for it to be just a burning Yule log and we just watch a fire for an hour?
That would be interesting. But not for that. Not for an hour. It would not be interesting for an hour.
It'll be the shortest episode we ever did.
Yeah, it's game stinks. Sorry, Stu. But yeah. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.